Namato Ratanatayasa. May I pay homage to Triple M, the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. My respect goes to my parents and my teachers. Hello, good evening. So today is Wednesday, the 2nd of September, 2020. And this is Ajahn Sujan from Varapunya Meditation Center, Aberdeen, Scotland. So as usual, I'm here with you tonight. And thank you everyone for listening and joining with me on this Facebook Dhamma talk. So today I'm another living room, a different angle. First of all, would like to thank you everyone for all the blessings and good wishes on my birthday. So thank you all the kind words. Today is also a full moon day, and this means a full moon day during the Vassa, and this is the second month ends, and now there is another 1 month left for the Vassa, or the rains retreat. And after 1 month's rains retreat ends, we call the ceremony called the invitation ceremony, and that is called Pavarana, which means the ceremony that ends and the rains retreat. And after that, there will be a Kachina ceremony, and which we have planned to organize it on the 4th of October. And this is the end. After the Kachina, basically monks are allowed to travel without any what's called duties. So this second full moon days within this Vassa time, different countries celebrate it in different ways. But in particularly, I am very interested one in Bangladesh. They call it Madhu, full moon day of Madhu, and the day when Bangladesh Buddhists would visit the temples, and they will offer honey, a bottle of honey and a warm water to the venerable monks. And it's been a very interesting story behind it. And the story simply came from the time of the Buddha, that there were the story that the two group of monks were fighting over the water that is not the vase that used for the toilet to wash your after being done your business in a toilet. So that vase needs to be upside down, and the monk didn't do that. So on the basis of that, the whole community divided into two groups. And even the Buddha went and discussed with them and told them to forget about it and forgive and go on with the other businesses. In the presence of the Buddha, they accepted the terms and conditions, but again, never come together. The dispute continues. And in that case, Buddha, rather than communicating with them, he departed alone in the forest. And during the Vassa time, he stayed in the forest alone for 3 months. During his staying in 3 months' time, the forest called the Palelaya, two animals came and looked after the Buddha. One was the monkey and another one was the elephant. Now, elephant normally brings water to the Buddha, and then the monkey normally brings fruits to offer to the Buddha. And according to the legend of the Bangladesh Buddhists, believe that after 2 months of looking after the Buddha, the monkey wanted to offer honey. So the monkey brings the honey, which has the still baby honeys were hanging around. So he picked it, and separated it, and he offered it to the Buddha. So that is the tradition that Bangladeshi Buddhists, on this day of the full moon, would go and offer a bottle of honey to the venerable to the temples. And according to the Vinaya, the honey is one of the eatable items that monks can keep in the temple for overnight, because we can keep it for 7 days, whereas rest of others we cannot. Technically we cannot. And now in a Western world, and we are in a modern time, it's different. We have a freezer, and we have a fruit in tins, uncooked food, and sugar, and coffees, salts, all sort of items in a kitchen that we can store nowadays. But in according to the Vinaya, we cannot. Right? So that's why there are temples where they separate the kitchen, and the whole kitchen business is hand over to a lay person to look after. And whatever a lay person who is looking after the kitchen would prepare food and offer it to the monks. Monks has no business at all to deal with the kitchen, and not keeping even the salt for more than 7 days. And in relation to the salt, again, the second Buddhist council took place simply due to one of the reasons that monk began to store salts. Yeah? So that is how it is. But here again, in the past, when I was in the city of Adin, I even didn't know what is in the kitchen too. I normally didn't look at it, and whatever is offered, I just happy with that. And sometimes when people do not come to offer food for maybe a couple of days or a week, I just rely on fruits. I dare not to cook. Often I do not cook like that. And even when I moved in here, every time when I'm staying alone at the temple here in West Hill, again I try not to cook. I try not to cook, or even not engaging in cooking at all. So like that. And whereas in our center at the moment we have this small cottage, and our kitchen is again attached to this. We are bound to engage in the kitchen, and nowadays we're living 3 monks, and we don't have lay people staying or in charge of the kitchen. So sometimes, in the absence of devotees who are coming to offer a lunch, then we are learning. We have a chef monk as well. A professional chef monk. And again, when we cook, you don't expect that food to be delicious. We will put anything that is available, and we will just make it eatable. So it's not for the party. Yeah, so that's why that was one of the reasons of the second Buddhist council took place after Buddha's entering the Parinibbana for 100 years later. But anyway, so I just wanted to let you know that today's full moon day in Bangladesh celebrates in this way. And meanwhile, today's full moon day in Thailand celebrates it as called Sat Thai, which means remembering our deceased ones. So remembering our deceased ones and making a merit. And in the name of those our parents or those our relatives or those who loved ones, those who passed away in the past, and dedicating merits to them, transferring a merit to them, hoping that this help them to be free from, if they are in a awful state of existence below the human world, then they will be free from there. And again, this is not just in Thailand that is practiced. It's known as a Sat Thai. In fact, in Buddha Gaya, all the Hindu people or Hindus, those believe in Hinduism, would go and perform so-called the Sraddha, or the Sath. Basically means they will perform the ceremony dedicating a merit or releasing their ancestors, those who may have born in the lower realms of this existence and suffering too much. So releasing them from there, and that ceremony normally takes place in Buddha Gaya as well. Yeah, so that's when the Buddha Gaya used to be controlled by Mahantas, means the Brahmin priests, Hindu priests, and it took quite a while and quite a long battle to free that Buddha Gaya and then open it as a central for the Buddhism. Even now, I believe that although it's open for the Buddhists, in the management committee, still Hindu priests are, or Hindu members of the Hindu community still in the board. I think half and a half now. And as a result of that, Hindu priests would be representing at the Buddha Gaya temple every day, and he will be performing Hindu rituals inside the Buddha Gaya temple too. And he has also got the equal right to make decisions over the Buddha Gaya. And that's why this battle been going on for a long time, and still there are Indian Buddhists in India fighting to make it as a Buddhist control, or in a Buddhist control. But the government, I think, still relying on that. And this Buddha Gaya temple itself was freed by not any Indians, but it was freed by the Anagarika Dhammapala, who came from Sri Lanka, and he was again brought up as a Christian, but later when he came across with the Buddha's teachings, he studied in depth and then become Anagarika. So he basically dedicated his whole life studying Buddhism and spreading Buddhism. And one of the great work that he done was establishing the Mahabodhi Society in India and spread Buddhism all around in the world. Even the center in London, Buddhist temple established in London, it's called London Buddhist Vihara, was also established by him. Okay? And he, significant job that he did during his lifetime was to free the Buddhist pilgrimage sites in India, and he was fighting over this Buddha Gaya releasement and requesting or going on trials and going in it's called even the government meetings and demonstrations and so on. So but he was unable to succeed. But later on, after he passed away, later, a couple of years later, the Buddha Gaya was given access to the Buddhists and become the part of the Buddhist history. And ever since, Buddha Gaya become the central of Buddhism, where Buddhists from around the world go to visit as a pilgrimage site, the place where Buddha enlightened, as a holy place where still the Bodhi tree exists, and we'll sit there and meditate. I have been there a couple of times, and it's an amazing place to be. When you go there, you feel very tired because of the long distance travel from different places. In the past, when you're going to the Buddha Gaya, you have to travel from Calcutta or Kushinara, which takes around 7 to 8 hours on the bus or on a train, about 6 or 7 hours on a train. It's really exhausting traveling to the Buddha Gaya. And then when you are approaching the Buddha Gaya temple, around the temple, and you will have a thought of having a nap or having a rest. So you will have a thought that, okay, we'll have a shower and we'll have a rest, and then only we'll go to pay respect to this pagoda, this Bodhi tree, and this Meitteya Buddha. But I believe that over 90% of the people, those who have an initial thought of having a rest, would never rest. As soon as they arrive, it's like a magnet that drags you to go and see this tree, to go and see the Buddha Gaya pagoda, and then to pay respect to this Buddha, the majestic Buddha Maitreya, smiling at the front with the yellow robed. So you want to go and pay respect before you're doing anything. It's amazing. And then again, what is interesting there, that there are hundreds, probably sometimes you will see the thousands of people around, and every one of them or a group of them will be in a different group of monks or people will be chanting in different tones and different verses, different chantings. And surprisingly, it won't disturb you at all if you're sitting there and meditating, or if you are chanting your own version of a chanting. So surprising that it won't disturb you at all. It just harmonizes you, and you're just tuning in and then and blending into that environment, and the whole atmosphere becomes so harmony, so peaceful. Yeah? Peaceful here doesn't mean no sound. There will be plenty of sound going on, but the environment itself is so pure, so peace. And with that, you will find that, oh, I want to be here for a little longer. Oh, I want to meditate here a little longer, like that. It's an amazing place, and I recommend you to visit, and as a site, pilgrimage site, where you can reflect your understanding of the teachings of the Buddha, and even testing your practice of a meditation. Even the Buddha, before he passed away, he mentioned to the Ananda that after he gone, these are the 5 places that one who is really willing to develop or cultivate the faith in these teachings and the progress in the spiritual journey according to the Buddha should visit these 4 places as a place for the reflection. And I am pretty sure that whoever been there, they will rejoice and appreciate how grateful the Buddha was and how grateful. So I encourage you to go and join, and go and visit. If you want, probably after this COVID-19 then settles down and everything settles, I can take a tour as well. I can organize a tour for all of you. And this is what basically a reflection that everyone can go and reflect. and everyone can learn new things. And with that, what signifies is another significance is that these are the historical fact that significantly or predominantly suggests that Buddha was alive as a human being, and these all the places basically demonstrate how great he was, and how many people over the centuries inspired by his teachings, and his teachings that, again, although India lost Buddhism for more than probably 1,000 years, and that's simply because of the misinterpretation of the teachings of the Buddha, engaging into the rites and the rituals more than the study and the practice, and then the Hindu the Brahminical influence heavily onto the teachings and the practice of the Buddha, and later on the Muslim Turk invasion, and not only the Turks, I think, the Muslim invasion in India. And one of the generals of Muslim invasion in India, he wrote in his diary that it took him, possibly to them, to burn the books in the Nalanda University 3 months, around 3 months. So imagine how many books in that university, the Buddhist university, or as a monastery, preserved. And during that time, the hundreds of monks killed, hundreds of monks, exile or run away from there, and quite a great masters went to Nepal as well, and were in Nepal. From there, they preserved 9 great Mahayana Buddhist texts called Navasutras, and this is again written in Sanskrit, only found in Nepal, and that's again brought from India during this the Muslim invasion and destroying this Nalanda University. These are the thing. And despite of that, these monuments, after Muslim or in Islam governed the India for so many years, basically every things that related to not only Buddhism but also Hinduism destroyed. But however, practices of Hinduism continued for 100 years. But after the Islam, Buddhism destroyed completely around 13th century in India, and which never revived until the 19th century during the time of Ambedkar, Babasaheb Ambedkar. Again, he was born as he was born as untouchable from the slums. But because of his education and great determination, he got the great scholarships from Western world and got the good education from the Western world, went back to India, became a first law minister in India, and one of the key figures who drafted the whole constitution of India that is still in use after 50 years without any amendments. So he was probably the main person to write or draft that Indian constitution before it was passed through the parliament or this constitution assembly. So after he himself said that he was born as a Hindu. It wasn't his choice, but he would not die as a Buddhist. He would not die as a Hindu. So he announced openly in 1930s, about 1935 or 36. But it took him about 20 years to choose which religion or faith he should turn to. And then in 1956, or around 55, 56, he openly again converted to Buddhism. That's how Buddhism again began in India and become a part of Indian community now. Although nowadays Buddhism is kind of a part of mostly backward or so known as untouchables, or it's called Dalits, Buddhists. But now again Buddhism is gradually taking ground in India, and the teachings of the Buddha gradually spreading. So this is what I'm telling you, to just to give you an overview of these Buddhist pilgrimages sites that is historically the fact, archaeologically the truth, and again the journey and diaries that people have wrote centuries ago are so relevant, and this proves the Buddha's existence and his teachings is so relevant. And on that basis now his teachings that we know, nothing more than just the three things, that is Sila, Samadhi and Panya. So Sila is a morality, Samadhi is the meditation or concentration or mental development, and a Panya or the wisdom. And within this Sila, Samadhi, Panya, this comes under the Eightfold Noble Path that I have been explaining for over a few weeks now. And within this Eightfold Noble Path, the first two, the Samma Ditti and Samma Sankappa, so right understanding and right thought, these are regarded as the wisdom part, which I have explained. If you want to listen those previous talks, you can go to our YouTube channel. There is available to listen it. And then in terms of the second, the Sila factor, Samma Vaca, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, I have explained it a couple of weeks now, and yesterday I ended in the last one, the Samma Ajiva. And now I will be turning into the last bit of last three factors of the Eightfold Noble Path, which is known as the Samadhi. And in that there are three factors. One is Samma Vayama, Samma Sati and Samma Samadhi, or right effort, right mindfulness and right concentration. So I will be explaining on these three topics from tomorrow as a part of the third factors of the Sikha or the Trisikha or the training ground under the basis of this Eightfold Noble Path. And this is what Buddha taught, and it has been a teachings that the humanity or whoever comes to learn found peace, harmony, and spreading this peace and harmony to whole the society. And that is the reason why there is no such thing called war or religious war in Buddhism. Anyway, I will stop here for tonight and will continue from tomorrow on this third sector of this Eightfold Noble Path, the Samadhi, the concentration. I will end here. In a few moments' time, we will have a chanting and guided meditation. With this, thank you everyone for listening and continue listening. May you all be well and happy. May the Buddha Dhamma Sangha bless you. Stay safe, take care, and see you shortly. If not, then see you tomorrow. And good night. Sadhu.